Welcome to the Wine Cage. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Amanda.
And tonight we are drinking and reviewing Shanahan's The Old Dog Barossa Valley Shiraz 2021. And it's called The Old Dog in reference to the winemaker's grandfather, James or Jim Shanahan, who was a very hardworking, kind-hearted, wise and wonderful man. And I feel like this continues a trend of stories about the original winemakers, the person who planted the vines, and they're always really kind-hearted,
down to earth, yeah.
Just wonderful people.
Just
and
the best.
It's nice. There's a part of me that wants to one day read a wine label about
just an absolute jerk.
Yeah, like a great grandfather who was just mean-spirited snob, but who still made really good wine. So if that's your great-grandfather who started your vineyard, please do tell his story on the label because we'd love to read that one day. But for now, everyone's salt of the earth. Everyone's the lovable scallywag. But that's nice. So before we talk about the nose and the taste on this one, Amanda's going to tell us a bit about how she sees the choices of the graphic design. When we drink wine, we love to look at the label and read the back. So it's a whole experience, the label and the choice of copy. For us, it's all part of the experience of drinking the wine. This one's kind of interesting because the label is unusual. So why don't you tell us a bit about what you think about that?
Well, as I've sort of mentioned, I think before on our channel, I don't always go for really oldie worldy labels. Sometimes I like them. Sometimes I think they're cheesy. This one
I like them.
I know you do, but it's a mixed bag for me. This one I really like you mentioned, it's sort of reminiscent of a newspaper, like an old kind of antique newspaper. The paper itself almost feels newspapery. It's got a little bit of tooth to it, a little bit of grain. It's very attractive paper stock. The print is all one color, which is that's hard to pull off. You've really got to make your design sing in other ways to be eye-catching when you're only using one color. And yeah, there's a little bit of relief on the type and on the image, which does look like clip art, but in this case, I'm not angry about that. They've done it tastefully.
Yeah. With this one, and it's the opposite of a bunch of the wines that we've been reviewing recently where they've had super premium paper with texture and deboss and emboss. I mean, I didn't even notice the relief on this, but this feels like the opposite of all those in that this feels like cheap paper that's been like clag glued onto the bottle. Sort of, you know what I mean? It's got that sort of thin, there's nothing fancy about the paper. But I wasn't sure what I made of this. I like the little graphic of the hand holding the grapes. It does look like clip art. But when I realized that it had that old newspaper vibe, I sort of thought, oh, okay, I sort of understand what they're going for here. So it's kind of pleasing in that way, and at least it looks different from a lot of the other wines out there. Classic sort of look. Anyway, that's all the superficial visual stuff. How does it smell? Well, I always forget to talk about the color first. So, I mean, let's look at that. Deep, dark, syrupy, sticks to the side of the glass quite a bit. So I guess it's what you'd expect from a Shiraz. Let's see how it smells. Would you like to go first?
Well, to me, it's got quite a sweet, almost licoricey smell. It's a little syrupy. It's a little mysterious, a bit, one might almost say, papery, which goes with the label theme, but in a nice way.
I hadn't thought of that. You're right. It does have a slight papery smell to it in a good way.
Yeah, like an old library sort of smell.
Like that beautiful Italian paper place that we went into in the city.
Oh,
Was
yes.
it in that, what's that laneway called?
De Graves
Street. There's a beautiful Italian paper and card shop there that has beautiful, postcards and everything that you can get.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting distracted, thinking about the Italian paper place. But the nose on this is beautiful. I love it. It's everything you want when you're inhaling the aroma of a good red.
It's a very attractive smell, yeah.
Yeah, there's no sharpness. It's not boring. The nose is actually rich and layered, which I assume that's kind of difficult for a wine to have that just in its smell. So great nose on this one, and we're wondering if it lives up to it taste-wise. Let's see. Taste-wise on this one, it lives up to how good the nose was. I'm happy to say it's spicy and sweet at the same time, like a honey glazed roast potato or something. You know, when food pulls off that sort of nice, interesting balance between spicy and sweet. I was going to say like sugar salted popcorn, but that's kind of that doesn't capture the richness of this. That's why I said, the potato. But rich, full flavored, and some wines we drink, I know you would never really think that a Shiraz is going to be watery, but I feel like some of the Shirazes we've had lately have been kind of light, and sometimes they've had elements of a watery consistency and taste to them. This is the opposite of watery. It's not crazy dense and full of sediment, but it has no watery taste whatsoever. You're just hit up front with rich texture, strong flavor that immediately just fades into a dusty, velvety finish.
Yeah.
How would you describe the evolution from when you first sip it to, as it fades?
Oh, those were my thoughts exactly. It's not watery at all, which is it's a bit of a delight after many, many watery bottles of wine that we've waded our way through. This one is just rich and delightful. It maintains a bit of that mysteriousness of the nose, but there's not much of a licorice flavour, despite what I smelt in the nose anyway. It's just sort of rich and well-rounded.
Yeah. So it's a great wine. We love it. It's a definite repurchase. I think its retail was $20, which is pretty great for a wine this good. I think the only thing keeping this from being firstly, we're going to talk about our rating. What do you rate this out of 10?
I'd give it a solid 8, personally.
Yeah, my rating is 8 as well. I think the only thing keeping it from being a 9, keep in mind that I reserve that for wines that are not only great, but they're surprising in some way. The best wines I've ever had have got some element that you don't expect. They have a wow factor when you sip them. It's something unexpected, a slight flavor that you weren't expecting that is also obviously very good. This is solid, great wine, a solid 8. I wouldn't say the flavor is surprising or has like huge wow surprise factor. It's just exactly what you want from a solid Barossa Shiraz. And I guess a Barossa Shiraz, my expectations are already a bit high because that region and Shiraz, you expect that you're going to get something at least solid and drinkable. And this doesn't disappoint. It's amazing. That's Shanahan's The Old Dog Barossa Valley Shiraz 2021. We highly recommend it. Definite repurchase. So yeah, go out and get yourself a bottle. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Wine Cage. Cheers.
Cheers.